Captain Jinwoo stood on the bridge of his cargo ship, the New Seoul, watching the stars through the main window. He had been flying cargo runs for 15 years, carrying supplies between human colonies. Today was supposed to be just another normal day. His ship was loaded with medical supplies heading to the Outer Rim colonies. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines. First Officer Hyeri was checking navigation charts at her station. Chief Engineer Minho was in the engine room making sure everything ran smoothly. Communications Officer Taeyeon sat at his console, monitoring space traffic frequencies. Suddenly, Taeyeon's console started beeping. He put on his headset and listened carefully. His face changed from bored to worried. Captain Taeyeon called out, "I'm picking up a weak distress signal." Jinwoo walked over to Taeyeon's station. "What kind of signal is very weak, sir?" "The transmission is breaking up badly, but I think someone is asking for help." Hyeri looked up from her charts. "Could be pirates trying to trick us. They sometimes use fake distress calls to lure cargo ships." Jinwoo nodded. Pirates were always a problem in this part of space, but he could not ignore a real distress call either. "Can you clean up the signal, Taeyeon?" Taeyeon worked on his console, adjusting frequencies and filters. After a few minutes, a voice came through the speakers. It was weak and full of static, but they could hear it clearly now. Double quotes, please. Anyone. Help me. I haven't eaten in 15 days. My children are dying. The voice was female, speaking in broken galactic standard. She sounded desperate and very weak in the background. They could hear what sounded like small voices crying softly. "Sir," Taeyeon said quietly, "this doesn't sound like a trick. She sounds really scared." Jinwoo felt his heart tighten. He had 2 children of his own back on Earth. The thought of any mother watching her children suffer made him angry. "Can you trace the signal?" he asked. Taeyeon worked quickly on his console. "Yes, sir. The signal is coming from about 2 hours away, near the Kepler asteroid field." Hyeri stood up from her station. "Captain, we should be careful. The asteroid field is a perfect place for an ambush. Pirates love to hide there." "I know," Jinwoo said, "but we can't ignore this. Minho, come to the bridge." A few minutes later, Chief Engineer Minho arrived on the bridge. He was a big man with kind eyes who always worried about everyone's safety. "What's the situation, Captain?" Minho asked. Jinwoo explained about the distress call. Minho listened carefully, then shook his head. "I don't like it, sir. Our cargo is worth a lot of money. If pirates capture us, they'll sell our medical supplies on the black market. People will die without those medicines. But if we ignore this call, people might die right now," Jinwoo replied. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew the captain was right, but they also knew the dangers. Space was not a kind place, especially for cargo ships that traveled alone. The distress call came through the speakers again. This time they could hear it more clearly. Double quotes, please. Someone help us. My babies are so hungry. I tried to find food, but there is nothing left. Please. Dr. Sujin, the ship's medical officer, had come to the bridge when she heard about the distress call. She was a small woman but very determined when it came to helping people. "Captain," she said firmly, "we have to help them. I became a doctor to save lives, not to worry about money." Jinwoo looked around at his crew. These people had been with him for years. They were more than just workers, they were family. He knew what they were all thinking. "Taeyeon, send a response," Jinwoo ordered. "Tell them we're coming to help." Taeyeon smiled and started working on his console. "This is the cargo ship New Seoul responding to your distress call. We are coming to help you. Stay strong, we will be there in 2 hours. They waited for a response. After a long minute, the weak voice came back. "Thank you. Thank you so much. We are in a small ship near the big rocks. Please hurry." Jinwoo turned to Hyeri. "Set course for the asteroid field, but keep our weapons ready, just in case." "Yes, sir," Hyeri replied, already working on the navigation computer. "Minho, I want you to check all our systems. If this is a trap, we need to be ready to run fast." "Already on it," Captain Minho said, heading back to the engine room. As the New Seoul changed course toward the asteroid field, Jinwoo felt nervous but also proud of his crew. They were taking a big risk, but it was the right thing to do. 2 hours later they reached the edge of the asteroid field. The rocks floated in space like giant mountains, some as big as small moons. It was easy to hide in a place like this. "There," Taeyeon pointed at his screen. "I'm getting the signal from inside the field, near that cluster of rocks." Hyeri carefully flew the ship between the asteroids. Everyone on the bridge watched carefully for any signs of danger, but all they saw were rocks and empty space. "There it is," Dr. Sujin said, pointing out the window. Floating near a large asteroid was a small ship. It was badly damaged, with burn marks on its hull and one engine completely destroyed. The ship looked like it had been in a fight and lost. "No other ships nearby," Hyeri reported after checking her sensors. "If this is a trap, the pirates are very well hidden." Jinwoo studied the damaged ship. It was not a design he recognized. The hull was dark green with strange markings, definitely not human-made. Taeyeon tried to contact them again. He ordered, "Small ship, this is the New Seoul. We are here to help you. Can you respond?" After a moment, The weak voice came back. Yes, we see you. Thank you for coming. Please help us. Can you dock with our ship? Taeyeon asked. There was a long pause. Then the voice replied, our docking system is broken. We cannot move our ship. Jinwoo made a decision. Prepare the shuttle. We'll go over to them. Dr. Sujin grabbed her medical bag. I'm coming with you. So am I, said Min. If their ship is damaged, they might need engineering help. 20 minutes later, Jinwoo, Dr. Sujin, and Minho flew the shuttle over to the damaged alien ship. As they got closer, they could see how badly it was hurt. There were holes in the hull that had been sealed with emergency patches. The ship looked like it might fall apart at any moment. They docked with the alien ship's emergency airlock. Minho checked his scanner to make sure the air was safe to breathe. It's okay, he said. Their air is a little different from ours, but we can breathe it. They opened the airlock and entered the alien ship. The inside was dark and cold. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting strange shadows on the walls. Hello, Jinwoo called out. We're here to help you. A weak voice answered from deeper in the ship here. We are here. They followed the voice through narrow corridors until they found a small room. Inside they saw something that broke their hearts. A female alien lay on a makeshift bed, barely conscious. She was reptilian-looking with green scales and large dark eyes. She was very thin, clearly starving. Next to her were 3 small creatures, obviously her children. They were also very thin and weak, but alive. Dr. Sujin immediately knelt down next to the alien mother and started checking her condition. She's severely malnourished, Dr. Sujin said quietly. They all are. We need to get them to our ship immediately. Dr. Sujin worked quickly to stabilize the alien mother and her 3 children. The family was moved to the medical bay on the new Seoul, where they could receive proper care. The alien mother, who called herself Nira, was unconscious most of the first day. Her children huddled together in one corner of the medical bay, scared and silent. I've never treated aliens before, Dr. Sujin told Captain Jinwoo privately. Their biology is different from humans. I'm doing my best, but I'm not sure what foods are safe for them. Jinwoo nodded. Do whatever you can, we'll figure it out together. The 3 alien children looked like small versions of their mother. They had the same green scales and large dark eyes. The oldest looked about 10 years old in human terms. The middle child seemed around 7, and the youngest was barely more than a baby. They watched the humans with fear and curiosity. Cook Moran came to the medical bay with a tray of simple foods. She had prepared plain rice, boiled vegetables, and clean water. I thought I should start with the most basic foods, she explained. Maybe their stomachs can handle these. The oldest child looked at the food but did not move. Dr. Sujin slowly pushed the tray closer to them. It's okay, she said gently. This is food. You can eat it. The children did not understand her words, but they understood her tone. After several minutes, the oldest child carefully picked up a piece of vegetable and smelled it. Then he took a tiny bite. His eyes widened with surprise. The food was good. Soon all 3 children were eating slowly. They were very hungry, but Dr. Sujin made sure they did not eat too much too fast. People who had been starving could get sick if they ate too quickly. Communications Officer Taeyeon spent hours in the ship's computer system trying to learn about the alien race. I found some information, Captain, he reported. They're called Valkyrie. There are some basic language files in the galactic database. Good work, Jinwoo said. Can you learn some of their language? I'm trying, sir. It's not easy, but I think I can learn some basic words. Over the next few days, Taeyeon worked hard to communicate with the family. He learned that the mother's name was Nira, and her children were called Kale, Vera, and Little Zim. He practiced simple phrases like hello, food, safe, and friend. When Nira finally woke up, she was very confused and scared. She saw the humans around her and tried to sit up quickly, but she was still too weak. It's okay, Dr. Sujin said softly. You're safe now, we're friends. Nira did not understand the words, but she could see that the humans were trying to help. Her children ran to her side, chattering quickly in their own language. She hugged them tightly, tears in her large eyes. Taeyeon came forward and spoke slowly in Valkyrie. Hello, Nira! We are friends. You are safe here. Nira's eyes widened in surprise. She had not expected the humans to know her language. She spoke back to him, and Taeyeon struggled to understand. I think she's asking about her ship, Taeyeon said to the others, and she wants to know why we helped them. Engineer Minho had been studying the wreckage of Nira's ship. He came to the medical bay with his report. Captain, their ship was attacked by raiders. The engine was destroyed, and all their food storage was emptied. Someone took everything they had. Jinwoo felt angry. Pirates and raiders were the worst kind of people in space. They hurt innocent families for money. Through Taeyeon's translation, they learned more about what had happened to Nira's family. They had been traveling to find work when raiders attacked their ship. The raiders stole all their food and damaged their engines, leaving them to die slowly in space. She says she gave all the remaining food to her children. Taeyeon translated. She hasn't eaten in 15 days. The children had small amounts every day, but they were running out. Dr. Sujin shook her head sadly. She was starving herself to keep her children alive. That's why she was so weak. Navigator Jisoo had been watching the children play with some simple toys that engineer Kungman had made for them. They seemed to be getting better, she observed. The little one, Zim, even smiled at me today. It was true. The children were slowly starting to trust the humans. They still stayed close to their mother, but they no longer hid when crew members entered the room. Cook Moran had been experimenting with different foods to find what the Valkyrie could eat safely. They seem to like fruits and vegetables, she reported. But they can't eat meat like we do. Their stomachs are different. They're herbivores, Dr. Sujin explained. Plant eaters. That makes sense. As the days passed, the barrier between humans and aliens slowly broke down. The children began to show curiosity about their rescuers. Young Kale, the oldest, was particularly interested in the ship's technology. He followed engineer Kungman around, watching him work. Vera, the middle child, seemed to enjoy music. When communications officer Taeyeon played some human songs, she would move her head to the rhythm. Music, it seemed, was something both species could appreciate. Little Zim was the bravest of the three. Despite being the youngest, he was the first to approach the humans without fear. He especially liked Navigator Jisoo, who would make funny faces to make him laugh. Laughter, Dr. Sujin observed, seems to be universal. All species understand joy. Nira watched her children slowly become comfortable with the humans. She was still cautious, but she could see that these people meant no harm. In fact, they had saved her family's life. Through Taeyeon's improving translation skills, Nira began to tell them about her people. The Valkyrie were originally from a planet called Velcros. It had been a beautiful world with vast forests and clean rivers. But that was before the mining companies came. She says her planet was destroyed by mining, Taeyeon translated. Big companies took all the valuable metals and left the planet unable to support life. What happened to her people? Jinwoo asked. Taeyeon listened to Nira's response. Most became refugees. They scatter across the galaxy, looking for work and places to live. But many species see them as inferior. They get treated badly. The crew of the New Soul felt sad hearing this story. They had never thought much about alien refugees before. In human space, aliens were rare, and most humans never met them. She says she was a scientist on her home planet. Taeyeon continued. Translating, she helped design water cleaning systems, but now she can only find work doing basic labor jobs. Captain Jinwoo made a decision. Tell her she doesn't have to worry about work right now. She and her children can stay on our ship until they're completely healthy. When Taeyeon translated this, Nira's eyes filled with tears. She spoke quickly in her language. She says thank you. Taeyeon smiled. She says she had lost hope that there were still good people in the galaxy. Security Chief Woojin, who had been quiet during most of these interactions, spoke up. Captain, I've been checking our route. We need to make a decision soon about where we're going. Our cargo delivery is still important. Jinwoo nodded. They couldn't forget their original mission. But now they had 4 extra passengers who needed help. It was not going to be an easy decision. That night, as the ship traveled through space, the human crew gathered in the dining room to discuss their situation. Nira and her children were sleeping peacefully in the medical bay. For the first time in weeks, we saved their lives, Dr. Sujin said. But what happens next? We can't just drop them off anywhere. Nira was trying to reach the Centauri system, Taeyeon said. That's where she hoped to find work. Engineer Minho frowned. I know that system. It's not a good place for refugees. The companies there exploit cheap labor. So what do we do? Navigator Jisoo asked. Captain Jinwoo looked around at his crew. These people were more than just employees to him. They were family. And now, somehow the Valkyrie family was becoming part of that family too. We have some time to think about it, he said finally. For now, let's focus on making sure they recover completely. Then we'll figure out the best way to help them. As the crew went to their quarters for the night, they all felt the weight of responsibility. Saving Nira and her children had been the easy part. Figuring out what to do next would be much harder. A week had passed since the rescue, and Nira was finally strong enough to walk around the ship. Her children followed her everywhere, still staying close but no longer hiding from the human crew. Dr. Sujin was pleased with their recovery, though she knew it would take time for them to fully heal from their ordeal. Captain Jinwoo found Nira in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Taeyeon was with her, helping translate their conversation. The stars looked peaceful from here, but Jinwoo knew that space could be a dangerous place for those without protection. She wants to tell you more about what happened to her people, Taeyeon said. I think she feels she owes you an explanation. Jinwoo sat down across from Nira. Tell her she doesn't owe us anything, but if she wants to share her story, we're willing to listen. Through Taeyeon's translation, Nira began to tell the story of the Valkyrie people. Her voice was sad but strong as she spoke about her lost world. Velcros was beautiful, Taeyeon translated. Green forests covered most of the planet. The Valkyrie lived in harmony with nature for thousands of years. They built their cities in the trees and used water power for energy. Nira continued, and Taeyeon's expression grew darker as he translated. Then the Hegemony Corporation came. They said they wanted to trade, to bring progress to Velcros. They signed agreements with the Valkyrie government. What kind of agreements? Jinwoo asked. Mining rights, Taehan translated. The corporation said they would only mine in small areas. They promised to restore the land when they were finished. They said it would bring wealth to the Valkyrie people. Nira's voice became bitter as she continued her story. But the corporation lied, Taehan translated. The small mining areas became huge strip mines. They cut down entire forests. They polluted the rivers with chemicals. When the Valkyrie protested, the corporation brought in security forces. Jinwoo felt his anger growing. He had heard of the Hegemony Corporation before. They were one of the largest mining companies in the galaxy, known for caring more about profits than people. She says her mate Jorik worked in the mines, Taehan continued. The corporation promised good pay, but the working conditions were terrible. Many Valkyrie died in accidents. Jorik was one of them. Nira's voice broke as she spoke about her dead mate. Even without understanding her language, Jinwoo could hear the pain in her voice. After that, she became part of the resistance movement. Taehan translated. She used her skills as a scientist to help document the environmental damage. They tried to get help from the Galactic Council. What happened? Jinwoo asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. The Galactic Council said it was an internal matter, Taehan translated. The Hegemony Corporation had legal mining rights. The Valkyrie had signed the agreements themselves. Nira spoke for several more minutes, her voice getting stronger as she talked about the final days of her world. The resistance tried to sabotage the mining equipment, Taehan translated, but the corporation's security forces were too strong. Many resistance members were killed or captured. The lucky ones escaped in ships before the planet became completely uninhabitable. How many Valkyrie escaped? Jinwoo asked. Taehan asked Nira, then translated her response. She thinks maybe 50,000 out of a population of 10 million. Most of the escape ships were old and poorly equipped. Many didn't survive the journey to other worlds. The observation deck fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Jinwoo tried to imagine losing his home world, his family, everything he had ever known. The thought made him feel sick. Where do the surviving Valkyrie live now? He asked. Scattered across the galaxy, Taehan translated. Most work as cheap labor on mining stations of factory worlds. Some became traders or scavengers. A few, like Nira, tried to find legitimate work using their skills. But most species see them as refugees and treat them badly. Dr. Sujin, who had been listening from the doorway, came forward. Tell her I'm sorry for what happened to her people. No one should have to go through that. When Taehan translated this, Nira looked surprised. She had not expected sympathy from another species. She spoke quickly to Taehan. She says she's grateful that humans are different, Taehan translated. Most species either ignore the Valkyrie or try to exploit them. She never expected to find people who would help without wanting something in return. Navigator Jisoo, who had also been listening, asked a question. Where was she trying to go when the raiders attacked her ship? The Centauri system, Taehan translated. After speaking with Nira, she heard there might be work there for someone with her skills. Water treatment facilities need engineers. Engineer Minho, who had joined the group, shook his head. I know the Centauri system. The working conditions there are terrible. They hire refugees because they can pay them almost nothing. She knows. Taehan translated after speaking with Nira again, but she has to feed her children. Bad work is better than no work. Security Chief Woojin arrived on the observation deck with a worried expression. Captain, I need to speak with you privately. Jinwoo excused himself and followed Woojin to a corner of the deck. I've been monitoring communications, Woojin said quietly. There are bounty hunters looking for escaped Valkyrie. The Hegemony Corporation has put rewards on any Valkyrie who were part of the resistance movement. You think Nira was part of the resistance? Jinwoo asked. From what she just told us, yes. And if the bounty hunters find out we're carrying her, we could all be in trouble. Jinwoo felt a chill run down his spine. The Hegemony Corporation was powerful and had connections throughout the galaxy. If they wanted Nira back, they would stop at nothing to get her. There's more, Woojin continued. I checked the records. For the Centauri system, the main water treatment facility there is owned by a Hegemony subsidiary. If we take her there, we'd be delivering her right into their hands. Jinwoo closed his eyes and tried to think. They had rescued Nira and her children from certain death, but now they were trapped in an impossible situation. If they took her to Centauri, she would be captured by the people who destroyed her world. But if they didn't, where could she go? What about human space? Jinwoo asked. Could she get asylum in the Colonial Union? Woojin shook his head. Human immigration laws are very strict. Aliens are rarely granted asylum unless they have something very valuable to offer. And even then, the process takes years. But she's a scientist, Jinwoo protested. She has skills that could help human colonies, maybe, Woojin said. But the bureaucrats don't usually see it that way. They're more likely to just send her back where she came from. Jinwoo looked back at Nira, who was now playing with little Zim while Kale and Vera watched the stars. The family looked peaceful for the first time since he had met them. The thought of sending them back to a life of exploitation made him angry. Captain, Dr. Sujin called out. You need to see this. She was holding a medical scanner and pointing it at Nira. The display showed complex biological data that J didn't understand. What is it? He asked. Nira's body shows signs of radiation exposure. Dr. Sujin explained. Not recent exposure, but long-term low-level radiation, the kind that comes from working around certain types of mining equipment. Is she sick? Jinwoo asked, worried. Not sick, exactly. But this confirms her story about the mining operations. On her world, the Hegemony Corporation was using equipment that exposed workers to dangerous levels of radiation. That's probably what killed her mate and many other Valkyrie. Cook Moran, who had been bringing food to the family, overheard the conversation. That's terrible. Those mining companies don't care about safety at all. It's worse than that, Dr. Sujin said. If I can document this radiation exposure, along with Nira's testimony about the mining operations, it could be evidence of corporate crimes. Communications Officer Taeyeon looked up from where he had been teaching the Valkyrie children some human words. You mean we could use this evidence to help other Valkyrie refugees? Maybe, Dr. Sujin said. If we could get it to the right people. Captain Jinwoo felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. They had started this journey as a simple cargo run. Now they were carrying refugees who might be the key to exposing one of the galaxy's largest corporations. We need to make a choice, he said to his crew. We can drop Nira and her family off at the nearest station and continue with our original mission. Or we can try to help them find real safety, even if it means risking our own lives. The crew looked at each other, then at the Valkyrie family. Little Zim had fallen asleep in his mother's arms. Kale and Vera were quietly practicing human words that Taeyeon had taught them. Nira was singing softly to her sleeping child, a lullaby in her own language. What do you think? Jinwoo asked his crew. One by one they each gave their answer. Dr. Sujin wanted to help expose the corporation's crimes. Taeyeon wanted to make sure the family found safety. Cook Moran couldn't bear the thought of sending them back to exploitation. Navigator Jisoo said the children deserved a chance at a normal life. Engineer Minho worried about the risks but admitted he couldn't live with himself if they abandoned the family now. Finally, Security Chief Woojin spoke. It's dangerous, Captain. The Hegemony Corporation has a long reach. If we cross them, there might be no going back. I know, Jinwoo said, but sometimes doing the right thing is dangerous. That's what makes it the right thing. He looked out at the stars again, thinking about his own children safe on Earth. Every child deserved that same safety, regardless of what species they were born into. We'll find a way to help them, he decided. All of us together. The crew nodded in agreement. They were about to embark on something much more dangerous than a simple cargo run. But as they watched Nira holding her sleeping child, they knew it was the right choice. The stars continued to shine outside the observation deck, beautiful and distant. But for the first time since the rescue, those stars didn't look peaceful to Captain Jinwoo. They looked like a battlefield where the weak were preyed upon by the strong. It was time to change that. One family at a time, the crew of the New Soul gathered in the main dining room for an important meeting. Captain Jinwoo had called everyone together to make a final decision about Nira and her children. The Valkyrie family was resting in the medical bay, unaware that their future was being discussed. We all know the situation, Jinwoo began. Taking Nira to the Centauri system means delivering her to the Hegemony Corporation, but human space might not accept her either. We need to decide what we're going to do. Dr. Sujin spread her medical reports on the table. I've documented everything I found about the radiation exposure. This is proof that the Hegemony Corporation was poisoning Valkyrie workers. If we can get this to the right authorities, it could help thousands of refugees. But who would believe us? Security Chief Woojin asked. The Hegemony Corporation has lawyers and politicians in their pocket. They'll say we made it all up. Communications Officer Taeyeon had been working on something for days. He pulled out a small recording device. I've been documenting everything since we rescued them. Nira's story, the children's condition, Dr. Sujin's medical findings. I have hours of recordings. You made a documentary? Navigator Jisoo asked. Sort of, Taeyeon replied. I thought if people could see what really happened to the Valkyrie, they might care more. It's harder to ignore a problem when you can see the victims. Engineer Minho leaned back in his chair. The question is, where do we take this evidence? And more importantly, where do we take Nira and her children so they'll be safe? Cook Moran, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. What about Earth? Couldn't we take them there? Earth has very strict immigration laws, Woojin replied. Aliens need special permits to even visit, let alone live there permanently. But what if we didn't go through normal channels? Dr. Sujin suggested. What if we took our evidence directly to someone important? Jinwoo had been thinking about this for days. I have a contact in the Colonial Authority. Admiral Kim was my commanding officer when I served in the Space Navy. She's a good person, and she has the authority to grant emergency asylum. Would she help us? Taeyeon asked. I think so, Jinwoo replied. But it would mean bypassing all the normal procedures. If we're wrong, we could all lose our licenses to operate in human space. The room fell silent as everyone considered the risks. Losing their operating licenses would mean they could never work on spaceships again. For people who had spent their lives in space, it would be devastating. There's something else to consider, Woojin said grimly. If the Hegemony Corporation finds out we're helping Nira, they might come after us directly. They have their own security forces, and they don't always follow galactic law. You mean they might attack us? Miran asked, worried. It's possible, Wujin replied. Corporations like Hegemony don't like witnesses to their crimes. Engineer Kungmin, who had been working on maintenance, joined the meeting late. Sorry, I'm delayed. What did I miss? After the others explained the situation, Kungmin sat quietly for a moment. Then he smiled. You know, I've been talking with young Kale. That boy is incredibly smart. He understands engineering concepts that most adults struggle with. If we can get this family to safety, that kid could grow up to be a brilliant scientist or engineer. Vera loves music, Taeyeon added. She picks up melodies faster than anyone I've ever seen, and little Zim is so curious about everything. These children have so much potential. Dr. Sujin nodded. Nira herself is a water treatment specialist. Human colonies are always struggling with water purification. Her knowledge could help thousands of people. So we're not just saving one family, Jisoo realized. We're potentially saving lives and contributing to human society. Captain Jinwoo looked around the table at his crew. These people had been with him for years, through good times and bad. He trusted them completely, and he could see that they had already made their choice. All right, he said finally. We'll take them to Earth. We'll go directly to Admiral Kim and present our case. If she agrees to help, great. If not, we'll figure out another solution. What about our cargo delivery? Minho asked. We're supposed to deliver those medical supplies to the Outer Rim colonies. The medical supplies will be late, Jinwoo replied. But if we succeed in exposing the Hegemony Corporation, we might save more lives than those medicines would. Wujin pulled up a star chart on his tablet. The fastest route to Earth takes us through 3 different sectors. If the Hegemony Corporation is looking for us, they'll have plenty of chances to intercept us. Then we'll have to be careful, Jinwoo said. We'll avoid the main shipping lanes and stick to less traveled routes. That will add days to our journey, Jisoo pointed out. Better to arrive late than not at all, Jinwoo replied. Taeyeon stood up from the table. I should tell Nira what we've decided. She has a right to know the risks we're all taking. Good idea, Jinwoo agreed. Make sure she understands that this is our choice. She doesn't owe us anything. As the meeting broke up, each crew member returned to their duties with new purpose. They were no longer just running a cargo ship. They were on a mission to save a family and potentially expose corporate crimes that had destroyed an entire world. An hour later, Taehan returned from the medical bay with tears in his eyes. Nira says she can't believe that strangers would risk so much for her family. She says in her language, there's a word that means family, you choose. She considers us that now. Dr. Sujin wiped her own eyes. Did you explain the dangers? Yes, Taeyeon replied. She said she would rather die trying to reach safety than live, knowing her children would always be hunted. Navigator Jisoo changed their course toward Earth, using the safest route she could plot. The journey would take 2 weeks instead of the usual 10 days, but it gave them the best chance of avoiding corporate patrols. Over the next few days, life on the new Sol settled into a new routine. The Valkyrie children were getting stronger and more confident. Kale spent hours with engineer Kyungmin learning about ship systems. Vera helped cook Moran in the kitchen, humming alien melodies while she worked. Little Zim followed Navigator Jisoo around the bridge, fascinated by the star charts and navigation equipment. Nira herself was slowly opening up to the crew. She shared stories about her work on Velcros, describing the beautiful water gardens she had designed. Dr. Sujin was amazed by her knowledge of environmental science and water purification techniques. Her ideas could revolutionize water treatment on desert worlds. Dr. Sujin told Captain Jinwoo the colonial authority would be foolish not to grant her asylum. But their peaceful journey was interrupted on the 5th day. Security Chief Wujin detected 3 ships following them at long range. Captain, he reported on the bridge. We're being tracked. 3 vessels, staying just at the edge of our sensor range. Corporate security, Jinwoo asked. Most likely, Wujin replied. They're being careful not to get too close, but they're definitely following us. Can we outrun them? Jisoo asked. Engineer Minho's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. Our engines are good, but we're carrying extra weight with the Valkyrie family and their salvaged belongings. Those corporate ships are probably faster and definitely better armed. We need to lose them, Jinwoo decided. Jisoo plot a course through the nebula fields. The interference there will scramble their sensors. That's dangerous, Captain Jisoo warned. The nebula has energy storms that can damage our electronics. It's more dangerous to let them catch us, Jinwoo replied, as the new Sol changed course toward the colorful gas clouds of the nebula fields. The crew prepared for a risky journey. The nebula was beautiful but deadly, filled with electrical storms that could fry a ship's systems in seconds. Nira came to the bridge with Taeyeon translating for her. She wanted to know if the danger was because of her family. Tell her the danger is because we choose to do what's right, Jinwoo said, and that choice makes us proud, not afraid. When Taeyeon translated this, Nira's eyes filled with tears. She spoke quickly in her own language. She says humans are the first species. Met that value honor more than profit, Taeyeon translated. She says her children will grow up knowing that there are good people in the galaxy because of what we're doing. As the new soul entered the swirling colors of the nebula, electrical storms crackled around the ship. The pursuing vessels fell back, unwilling to risk their expensive ships in the dangerous region. We're clear, Woojin reported. They're not following us into the nebula, but Jinwoo knew this was only a temporary victory. The corporate ships would be waiting when they emerged from the nebula. The real test was still ahead of them. In the dining room that evening, the crew and the Valkyrie family shared dinner together. Despite the danger, the mood was hopeful. The children were laughing at Taeyeon's attempts to speak their language, and Nira was teaching Cook Moran a traditional Valkyrie recipe. You know, Dr. Sujin said quietly to Jinwoo, whatever happens next, we've already succeeded. Look at this family. A week ago they were dying alone in space. Now they're laughing and playing and learning. That's victory enough. Jinwoo nodded, watching little Zim try to teach Navigator Jisoo a Valkyrie counting song. You're right, but we're going to give them more than just survival. We're going to give them a future. Outside the dining room windows, the nebula swirled in brilliant colors of blue, purple, and gold. It was beautiful and dangerous, like the choice they had made to help Nira's family. Tomorrow they would emerge from the nebula and face whatever was waiting for them. But tonight, for the first time in weeks, everyone on the ship felt like they were part of something bigger than themselves. They were part of a family that crossed the boundaries of species, united by the simple belief that helping others was always the right choice. The new soul emerged from the nebula fields 3 days later, but their relief was short-lived. Security Chief Woojin's sensors immediately detected multiple ships waiting just outside the nebula's edge. Captain Woojin reported urgently. I count 6 vessels. Corporate security. Heavily armed. They've been waiting for us. Captain Jinwoo felt his heart sink. The Hegemony Corporation had predicted they would use the nebula to escape and had positioned ships to catch them when they emerged. Can we go back into the nebula? Navigator Jisoo asked. Engineer Minho's voice crackled over the intercom. Negative, Captain. The electrical storms damaged our navigation array. We can't safely navigate back through the nebula without repairs. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Taeyeon reported. Put them through, Jinwoo ordered. A cold voice filled the bridge. Cargo vessel, New Soul. This is Commander Garrett of Hegemony Security. You are harboring stolen corporate property. Surrender the Valkyrie refugees immediately. This is Captain Jinwoo of the New Soul. These people are not property. They are free beings under galactic law. The Valkyrie refugees are escaped workers with outstanding debts to the Hegemony Corporation, Commander Garrett replied. They belong to us until their debts are paid. Surrender them now, or we will take them by force. Jinwoo looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for orders. Through the intercom, he could hear Nira's children playing in the medical bay, unaware of the danger closing in around them. Negative, Hegemony Security. These people are under our protection. You have 30 seconds to reconsider, Captain. Your little cargo ship is no match for 6 military vessels. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Jinwoo quickly activated the ship's internal communication system. All crew to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Dr. Sujin's voice came through immediately. Captain, what do I tell Nira and the children? Tell them to stay calm and trust us, Jinwoo replied. We're going to get them to safety. Engineer Minho ran onto the bridge, his face covered in sweat. Captain, I can give you emergency power to the engines, but it won't last long. Maybe an hour at maximum speed. That might be enough, Jinwoo said. How far are we from Earth space? Navigator Jisoo checked her charts quickly. About 6 hours at normal speed. Maybe 4 hours if we push the engines to maximum. The corporate ships are faster than us, Security Chief Woojin warned. Even at maximum speed, they'll catch us before we reach Earth's defense perimeter. Jinwoo made a quick decision. Then we don't run in a straight line. Jisoo plot a course through the asteroid field in Sector 7. We'll use the rocks for cover. That's dangerous, Captain Jisoo protested. One wrong move and we'll crash into an asteroid. It's more dangerous to let them catch us, Jinwoo replied. The New Soul suddenly accelerated, heading toward a nearby asteroid field. Behind them, the 6 corporate ships immediately gave chase. The hunt had begun. They're gaining on us, Wooj reported as the ship raced between giant floating rocks. Minho, can you give me more speed? Jinwoo called to the engine room. I'm already pushing the engines beyond safe limits, Captain. Any more and they might explode. Navigator Jisoo skillfully guided the ship through the maze of asteroids. Using every trick she had learned in 15 years of flying, the corporate ships were faster, but they were also larger and less maneuverable. In the tight spaces between asteroids, the New Soul had an advantage. Warning shots, Woojin announced as energy beams flashed past their windows. They're trying to disable our engines. Return fire, Jinwoo ordered. Captain, we only have light defensive weapons, Woojin replied. We can't match their firepower, then make every shot count. The chase continued through the asteroid field for 2 hours. The New Soul dodged between rocks while corporate ships fired at them from multiple angles. Engineer Kyungmin worked frantically to repair damage as it occurred. while Cook Moran helped Dr. Sujin keep the Valkyrie family calm and safe. Hull breach on Deck 3, Kungmin reported. I'm sealing it now. Navigation array is damaged, Jisoo announced. I'm flying on manual control. The situation was getting desperate. The corporate ships were slowly surrounding them, using their superior numbers to cut off escape routes. Jinwoo knew they couldn't outrun them much longer. Captain Taeyun called out suddenly, I'm receiving a transmission from Earth Defense Command. Put it through, Jinwoo ordered, hope rising in his chest. A strong female voice filled the bridge. Cargo vessel New Seoul. This is Admiral Kim of Earth Defense. We received your emergency transmission. What is your status? Jinwoo felt relief flood through him. His old commanding officer had received their message. Admiral Kim, this is Captain Jinwoo. We are under attack by Hegemony Corporation security forces. We are carrying refugees who need protection. Understood, Captain. Transmit your location. We are sending assistance. But Commander Garrett's voice cut in on the same frequency. Admiral Kim, this is a corporate security matter. The New Seoul is harboring stolen property. Do not interfere. Commander Garrett, Admiral Kim replied icily. These are human territorial waters. You have no authority here. Withdraw your ships immediately. The Valkyrie refugees belong to the Hegemony Corporation, Garrett insisted. We have legal documents proving their debt status. Any legal matters can be resolved through proper diplomatic channels, Admiral Kim replied. You will not attack civilian vessels in human space. Jinwoo watched his sensors as 6 new ships appeared at the edge of the system. Earth Defense Force vessels, armed and ready for battle. The corporate ships immediately stopped firing and began to retreat. This isn't over, Captain Jinwoo, Commander Garrett transmitted. The Hegemony Corporation has a long memory. We'll be ready, Jinwoo replied. As the corporate ships withdrew, the Earth defense vessels surrounded the New Seoul. Admiral Kim's ship, the destroyer Incheon, pulled alongside. Permission to come aboard, Captain Admiral Kim requested. Granted, Admiral. Welcome to the New Seoul. 20 minutes later, Admiral Kim stood on the bridge of the cargo ship she had helped save. She was a tall woman with graying hair and the bearing of someone who had spent decades in space. Jinwoo saluted her formally, but she waved him off. None of that, Jinwoo. You're not under my command anymore. She looked around the bridge, noting the damage from the chase. Though I see you still have a talent for getting into trouble. Some things are worth the trouble, Admiral Jinwoo replied. Show me these refugees you've risked so much to save. Jinwoo led Admiral Kim to the medical bay, where Dr. Sujin was treating the Valkyrie family. Nira looked up nervously as the uniformed officer entered. Her children stayed close to her, frightened by all the excitement. This is Nira and her 3 children, Jinwoo explained. Dr. Sujin has documented evidence that the Hegemony Corporation was poisoning Valkyrie workers on their homeworld. Admiral Kim studied the medical reports that Dr. Sujin handed her. Her expression grew darker as she read. This is evidence of corporate war crimes, she said finally. If this information is accurate, thousands of beings were poisoned for profit. It's all documented, Dr. Sujin confirmed. The radiation exposure patterns, the medical histories, everything. Communications Officer Taeyeon stepped forward with his recording device. I've also documented their personal stories, Admiral, the destruction of their world, the death of Nira's mate, their escape and persecution. Admiral Kim was quiet for a long moment, watching little Zim play with a toy that Engineer Kyungmin had made for him. The child was laughing, completely unaware of the political storm swirling around his family. What do you want me to do? She asked Jinwoo. Grant them asylum, Jinwoo replied. Let them live in human space where they'll be safe, and help us get this evidence to people who can use it too, to help other Valkyrie refugees. You know I don't have the authority to grant asylum on my own, Admiral Kim said. That requires approval from the Colonial Council, but you could recommend it. Jinwoo pressed. Your word carries weight. Admiral Kim looked at Nira, who was watching the conversation anxiously even though she couldn't understand the words. Taeyeon was quietly translating for her. Tell her I have children of my own, Admiral Kim said to Taeyeon. Tell her that any mother who would starve herself to feed her children deserves protection. When Taeyeon translated this, Nira's eyes filled with tears. She spoke quickly in her own language. She says thank you, Taeyeon translated. She says she had given up hope that her children would ever be safe. Admiral Kim made her decision. I'll escort you to Earth personally, and I'll present your case to the Colonial Council myself. I can't guarantee they'll approve asylum, but I can guarantee they'll listen. What about the Hegemony Corporation? Security Chief Woojin asked. They won't give up easily. Let me worry about them, Admiral Kim replied. The Colonial Union has been looking for evidence of corporate crimes for years. This might be exactly what we need to take action. As the New Seoul and its escort of Earth defense ships headed toward humanity's homeworld, Jinwoo felt cautiously optimistic for the first time in days. They weren't safe yet, but they had powerful allies now. In the dining room that evening, the crew and the Valkyrie family shared what might be their last meal together aboard the cargo ship. Tomorrow they would reach Earth, and everything would change. Whatever happens, Dr. Sujin said, raising her cup in a toast, we did the right thing. To doing the right thing, the crew echoed, raising their own cups. Nira, understanding the gesture if not the words, raised her own cup. Through Taeyeon she spoke her own toast, to the humans who showed us that there is still kindness in the galaxy. Outside the dining room windows, Earth grew larger with each passing hour. Blue and green and beautiful, it represented hope for a family that had lost everything. But the hardest test was still ahead. Tomorrow they would learn whether humanity would truly welcome the strangers they had saved. 6 months had passed since the new soul arrived at Earth with its precious cargo of refugees. Captain Jinwoo stood in the observation deck of the orbital station, watching ships come and go from the blue planet below. So much had changed since that day when they first heard Nera's desperate cry for help. The hearings before the Colonial Council had lasted 3 weeks. Admiral Kim had presented their case with passion and determination, while Dr. Sujin's medical evidence and Taeyeon's documentary provided undeniable proof of the Hegemony Corporation's crimes. The breakthrough came when Nera herself testified before the council. Through Taeyeon's translation, she told her story with quiet dignity and strength when she described watching her mate die from radiation poisoning while corporate executives counted their profits. There wasn't a dry eye in the chamber. The council voted unanimously to grant asylum to Nera and her children. More importantly, they launched a full investigation into the Hegemony Corporation's treatment of alien workers throughout the galaxy. Captain Jinwoo, a familiar voice called behind him. He turned to see Nera approaching, looking completely different from the starving refugee they had rescued. She wore clean clothes and had gained healthy weight. Her scales had regained their natural shine, and her eyes were bright with hope instead of desperation. Nera. Jinwoo smiled. How are you settling in? Her galactic standard had improved dramatically over the past months. Very well, thank you. I wanted to thank you again before you leave. Jinwoo was about to depart on another cargo run, his first since the rescue. The Colonial Authority had given him and his crew full pardons for their unauthorized actions, along with commendations for humanitarian service. You don't need to thank me, Jinwoo replied. How are the children? Nera's face lit up with pride. Kale is attending the Colonial Engineering Academy. His teachers say he has exceptional talent. Vera joined the youth music program at the Cultural Center, and little Zim, she laughed softly. Zim is learning to read in 3 languages at once. And your work, the Water Resources Department, has given me a permanent position, Nera said. Happily, I'm designing purification systems for the new colonies in the Tau sector. My knowledge of Valkyrie biofiltration techniques is helping create more efficient systems. Through the observation deck windows, they could see Earth's blue ocean sparkling in the sunlight. Nera had never imagined she would live on a world with so much clean water. There's something else, Nera continued. The Valkyrie Refugee Foundation has been established. Other survivors from my world are being located and offered help. The Colonial Council is working with alien rights groups to provide sanctuary for corporate refugees throughout the galaxy. Jinwoo felt a warm satisfaction hearing this news. Their rescue of one family had sparked a movement that was helping thousands of others. The Hegemony Corporation isn't happy about it, Nera added with a slight smile. Their stock prices have fallen dramatically since the investigation began. Several of their executives have been arrested for war crimes. Good, Jinwoo said firmly. They deserve to face justice for what they did to your people. Dr. Sujin approached them, carrying a medical tablet. She had become the lead researcher on Valkyrie physiology at the Colonial Medical Center. Nera, I have the latest health reports on the refugee families, she said. The children who were rescued are all showing excellent recovery. Your case has helped us develop treatment protocols for other Valkyrie who suffered from corporate exploitation. Any news about survivors from other ships? Nera asked hopefully. 3 more refugee vessels have been located in the past month, Dr. Sujin replied. All the families aboard are being offered the same asylum protections. Your testimony was the key that opened the door for all of them. Communications Officer Taeyeon joined their group, looking excited. Nera, I just received word from the Broadcasting Authority. They want to air the documentary about your rescue across all human colonies. They think it will help people understand the refugee crisis better. Will that help other families? Nera asked. Absolutely, Taeyeon replied. Public support has been crucial in changing government policies. When people see what you went through, and how your children have thrived since coming here, it makes them more willing to help others. Engineer Minho and Navigator Jisoo arrived together, both grinning broadly. Guess what? Minho announced. The Colonial Development Authority wants to hire Kale as a junior consultant. They say his understanding of biomechanical systems is revolutionary. And Vera has been invited to perform at the Intercolonial Music Festival, Jisoo added. Her blend of human and Valkyrie musical styles is creating an entirely new art form. Nera wiped tears from her eyes. When I sent that distress call 6 months ago, I was only hoping to save my children's lives. I never imagined they would have opportunities like this. Security Chief Woojin approached the group with a serious expression. Captain, I hate to interrupt, but we need to discuss our next cargo run. The Colonial Authority has a special request. What kind of request?" Jinwoo asked. "They want us to carry supplies to newly established refugee settlements in the Outer Rim, medical equipment, water purification systems, educational materials. It seems our ship has gained a reputation for humanitarian missions." Cook Miran, who had been listening from nearby, clapped her hands together. "That's wonderful. I can prepare special food packages for refugee families, and I can create educational recordings in multiple alien languages," Taeyeon added. Dr. Sujin nodded enthusiastically. "I'll put together medical kits specifically designed for different alien physiologies." Jinwoo looked around at his crew. They were all eager to continue helping refugees, even though it meant more dangerous missions in lawless regions of space. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked them. "It won't be easy and it certainly won't be profitable." Captain Engineer Kyungmin spoke up. "We didn't become spacers to get rich. We did it to see the galaxy and help people. This gives us a chance to do both. Besides," Navigator Jisoo added with a grin, "ordinary cargo runs are boring now. Where's the adventure in delivering machine parts to safe, civilized worlds?" Nira listened to this exchange with growing emotion. "You're going to help more families like mine?" "As many as we can," Jinwoo confirmed. "Then I have something for you," Nira said. She pulled out a small device that looked like a crystal pendant. "This is a Valkyrie emergency beacon. If you ever encounter my people in distress, activate this. It will broadcast a message in our language, telling them that you are friends who can be trusted." "We'll treasure it," Jinwoo said, accepting the gift. Admiral Kim arrived at the observation deck, now wearing civilian clothes. She had retired from the military to head the new Interspecies Refugee Protection Agency. "Captain Jinwoo, perfect timing," she said. "I have your first official mission. There are reports of Zephyrian refugees stranded in the Vega system. Pirates destroyed their colony ship, and the survivors are scattered across several moons." Zephyrians, Dr. Sujin asked. "I don't know anything about their biology." "That's why you're perfect for this mission," Admiral Kim replied. "You've proven you can adapt and learn quickly. The Zephyrians are silicon-based lifeforms, completely different from anything we've encountered before." "When do we leave?" Jinwoo asked. "Tomorrow, if you're ready. The supplies are already being loaded onto your ship." As the sun set over Earth, the group stood together on the observation deck, watching the planet turn slowly below them. City lights began to twinkle on the night side, each one representing millions of people living in safety and freedom. "You know," Nira said quietly, "in Valkyrie culture, we believe that kindness creates ripples that spread across the universe. One act of compassion leads to another, and another, until the whole galaxy is changed." "I like that philosophy," Jin replied. 6 months ago you saved my family from death in space," Nira continued. "Tonight, hundreds of other families are sleeping safely because of the movement that rescue started. Tomorrow, you'll save even more families." The ripples keep spreading. Little Zim came running onto the observation deck, followed closely by his older siblings. In the past 6 months he had grown taller and stronger, his scales bright and healthy. He ran straight to Navigator Jisoo, who had become his favorite human. "Jisoo, Jisoo," he called out in perfect galactic standard. "Look what I learned." He began reciting the names of all the planets in the Sol system, then switched to doing the same thing in Korean, then in his native Valkyrie language. "Very impressive," Jisoo laughed, picking him up and spinning him around. Kale and Vera approached more shyly. Kale had grown into a serious young scientist, while Vera had blossomed into a confident artist. But they still remembered being scared and hungry in the darkness of their broken ship. "Captain Jinwoo," Kale said formally, "I wanted to tell you that I've been accepted into the advanced engineering program. Someday I want to design ships that can rescue people like you rescued us, and I'm writing a song about our rescue," Vera added. "It's called The Stars That Answered. I want other refugee children to hear it and know that there are good people in the galaxy." Dr. Sujin wiped her eyes. "Look at them. 6 months ago they were traumatized children who couldn't even speak. Now they're planning to help other refugees themselves." "The ripples keep spreading," Nira repeated softly. As the group prepared to part ways, they gathered for one final meal together in the station's dining hall. Cook Moran had prepared a feast that combined human Valkyrie and several other alien cuisines. The table was filled with laughter and conversation in multiple languages. "I want to propose a toast," Captain Jinwoo said, standing up with his cup raised. "To Nira and her children, who taught us that helping others is what makes us truly human, to my crew who risked everything because it was the right thing to do, and to all the families we haven't met yet who are out there waiting for someone to answer their call for help. To the ripples of kindness," Nira added, raising her own cup. "To the ripples of kindness," everyone echoed. Outside the station's windows, the new Sol sat in its docking bay, being loaded with supplies for their next humanitarian mission. The old cargo ship looked exactly the same as it had 6 months ago, but everything about its purpose had changed. Tomorrow, Captain Jinwoo and his crew would once again venture into the dangerous regions of space, listening for distress calls from those who had lost hope. They would carry medicine, food, and water to refugee settlements. They would document corporate crimes and help survivors find justice. But most importantly, they would carry the message that Neera's family had taught them, that in a galaxy often filled with darkness, there were still people willing to be lights. As the evening ended and everyone went their separate ways, Neera stood one last time at the observation deck window, looking out at the stars. Her children were safe now with bright futures ahead of them. Other Velkari families were finding sanctuary because of the movement her rescue had started. The stars no longer looked cold and hostile to her. They looked like beacons of hope, each one a possible destination where kindness might triumph over cruelty. Somewhere out there, another desperate family was probably sending out a distress call, hoping against hope that someone would hear them and care enough to help. And thanks to the ripples that had started with one human captain's decision to do what was right, someone would be listening. The galaxy was becoming a kinder place, one rescue at a time.